we are not safe. What's up, sneaker people? It's your boy FB Kicks and Gear, and I am back with another ultimate legit check-in guide. This time we are featuring the Jordan 11 Columbia, aka Legend Blues. And I am gonna say it straight up right now. Jordan 11s are by far the hardest shoe to legit check, period. Without even going into the details and the normal things that I do in these types of videos, these reps are so close. And I don't know why with other reps there are huge, subtle, sometimes, telltale signs that you can identify a replica shoe and say, hey, this is a rep and this is a retail. It is not the case with Jordan 11s. If you guys remember my gratitude video from last year, I was absolutely struggling to find any real differences, and I have been doing the same thing here. So this is going to be a little bit different of a video. This is going to be more so, hey, can I find any real differences between the authentic pair and the rep, and less of the truly informed takes that I usually do, because I honestly, the time that I spent with these, I could not decipher what the real differences are. And that's a problem. So please, if there's anything useful that comes out of this video, bank that information. But the most important thing to do is to only buy these from trusted sources if you're looking for an authentic pair, because I am absolutely struggling. But with that said, let's get into the breakdown. We've got the authentic pair here on the left. I got this from Foot Locker, I think. One of the, Foot Locker champs, one of those sneaker stores on a recent restock. I did not get these during the initial release only because I knew that they would be available, and I wanted to wait until I had a rep pair in hand to be able to do that side by side. And I do have a rep pair in hand right now. And remember, you can find all of the pictures of the rep that you'll need to do your further research. And even if there's nothing really apparent that stands out, the details always matter. There's always going to be things that I miss because I'm trying to get a video out relatively quickly, even though people criticize that I yap a lot on these, but that's neither here nor there. Go to the Instagram account, do your own research, study up, because this is hard. And this is so confusing that I actually had to go and put a piece of tape on the back of the tongues of the authentic pair, just so that I could make sure I knew what I was looking at when I was doing the comparison. So let's figure this shit out together. The first thing that I will notice, and this has more to do with the box than it does the shoes themselves, the boxes are very, very close and they are almost identical. There is just a slight difference in color between the grays of the boxes. You can see it's a little bit lighter of a gray on the authentic and a little bit more of a cool gray on the rep. Very subtle. You can also see differences in color on the Jumpman of the authentic and the Jumpman on the rep. The rep is just a little bit deeper of a red, while the authentic is a little bit more of a vibrant fire red. But that's pretty much it for the boxes. There's nothing really else to look at. So we're going to spend time really digging into the shoes. So digging into the shoes, I'm going to be honest, I see nothing that really stands out to me, especially from like a legit checking standpoint. The outsoles look damn near identical. It might be the case that the authentic pair is a little bit more translucent than the rep, but because these are made in the millions and millions of pairs, I can't tell you that this is not something that you would see when it comes to authentic pairs as well. If you remember the gratitude video, there's tons of different soles for the authentic pairs. Some were lighter, some were more opaque, some were not, and it could all happen on authentic. So that is really not something that I look at, but in terms of color, they look fairly close. And again, not really something I'm willing to say is not something that can happen on authentic pairs. So that's another tough part. The carbon fiber, I will say that the carbon fiber is a little bit darker of a blue on the bottoms compared to the lighter, more UNC Carolina blue on the authentic. So that's definitely something. That's not something that I would expect to be different on authentic pairs to reps, but you guys tell me. This is a mass-produced shoe, so maybe you guys in the audience have pairs that look like this and they have that darker color, but I'm going to lean into that. From there, I mean, the uppers are damn near identical. The materials are the same. The padding is the same. The texture of these nylon lace holders, as well as the ballistic nylon on the tongues. I mean, even the finish is the same. I think when I really get up close, I do see a little bit difference in color between the Jordan tag on the tongue. Looks like the authentic pair is a little bit more brighter and vibrant, with the rep being a little bit more dull. And by the way, I didn't even realize this. This is the tough part. I've switched the rep and the authentic. So anything that I just said applies to the authentic pair and not the rep. So the rep has a more vibrant tongue tag on it compared to the duller tongue tag of the authentic pair. I'm telling you guys, this shit is tough. This is not easy. I really got to pay attention and making sure I'm keeping these separate. But let's take a look at the Jumpman. Honestly, I don't see any noticeable differences or anything of note. Maybe a slight color difference, but that might just be positioning here. Because it's a glossy thread, it changes color depending on how the light hits it. So since you guys have a front on view, maybe you can see if there's a difference. I'm definitely not. The embroidery is of the same quality, nothing crazy, just regular Jordan brand embroidery. From a shape perspective, more or less the same, but one of the things that I did notice is that the authentic pair, it kind of has a little bit more of a contour shape here on the heel. It goes in and kind of swoops out, while the rep is a little bit more straight up. Looks like they didn't have that attention to detail. I don't know if that's done on purpose, if it's a purposeful aspect of the shoe, but it's definitely a little bit straighter. Same for the other shoe on the rep pair. But when you look at the authentics, there's just a slight exaggeration in the heel. Outside of that, the shapes are definitely the same and very, 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 very similar. Taking a look at the 23s on the back here, I think this might be one of the more subtle differences. You can see that the 23 on the back of the authentic pair is thicker and more consistent, when on the rep the lines are just a bit thinner, not as neat in my opinion. Super, super, super subtle, and I probably wouldn't see this unless I had these right next to each other, but you can definitely see the lines are a bit thinner on the rep when compared to the authentic pair. But these are the kind of differences that I'm expecting. Nothing crazy. Taking a look at the inside of the tongue tags, I think we're noticing, my identifying tape just went away. Taking a look at the inside of the quality basketball products inspired by the greatest ever tag on the back of the tongue, there's definitely a slight difference in the color of the UNC blue on the inside of the tongue on the Jumpman there. It's a little bit more vibrant on the rep than it is on the authentic pair. Kind of the same thing that we noticed with the tongue tag. And just looking at the insole, it's just a black insole with Nike Air on the bottom, so I'm not going to pull those out, but those are more or less the same, so nothing crazy there. Outside of that, I'm really not seeing any major differences here on the shoes. Can you guys call anything out? I'm not seeing anything crazy. I would say maybe just looking at them head on, there's definitely a little bit higher of a tongue height on the rep than it is on the authentic pair. And in fact, the rep is actually just a little bit taller in height than the authentic pair altogether. And maybe that leads into how the tongue kind of sits a little bit higher on the rep than it does on the authentic pair. But you guys can actually kind of see the height difference. It's not by a lot, but you got a few centimeters of height on the rep pair than when compared to the authentic pair. But outside of that, this is tough. This is tough. I would be afraid to shop these on the market right now, because this is not your Travis Scott Jordan 1 where I could pull out a list of things that I could find. This is not safe. But outside of that, maybe we've got some thicker rope laces. Not maybe, definitely we have some thicker rope laces on the rep. The rope laces are also a little bit more of an off-white sail color when compared to the authentic. Or maybe that's just the rope laces yellowing a little bit, but definitely on the thicker side compared to the authentic pair. We've got very similar patent leather cuts, very similar positioning for the Jumpman. Some sole shenanigans, like I said earlier in the video. Carbon fiber, just a little bit different of a color. The outsole also a little bit different of a color, but for the outsole, I can't tell you whether or not this is within retail range, but I'll show the difference nonetheless. So with that said, let's just see if I can get a quick black light test done, and then we'll go from there. Oh, wow. So we've got a lot of activity on the black light for the authentic pair. You've got the stitching lighting up, you have the lace holders lighting up, the tongue lights up, you've got the Jumpman on the tongue tag lighting up, a ton of activity. Nothing on the Jumpman though, but you got a lot of activity. The laces light up. Very interesting. You've got a lot of activity here on the authentic pair. On the other shoe, same thing going on. It's probably one of the most reactive pairs that I have legit checked. I've done a video on in a very long time. So will the rep light up like a Christmas tree? We'll find out. Well, you guys see it unfolding right in front of you? Everything is lighting up. Everything. The tongue, the laces, the little Jumpman. So they even match that. Is there anything in here that shouldn't be lighting up? Sole is actually not reactive at all compared to the authentic pair though. I would say they react pretty differently. The soles of the rep kind of dead the light, while the authentic pair is a little bit brighter. They're definitely not reacting exactly the same. And you got a little bit more reactivity out of the shank plate here too, while the rep is not reactive at all. Interesting. But that is the black light test. You got some slight differences, but nothing too crazy. Let's wrap up the video. So that is the legit check guide. What do you guys think? Are you afraid to buy authentic Jordan 11s on the secondary market now? I definitely would. This gave me way too much trouble to the point where I had to clearly identify the authentic pairs. And I don't like that. That is, even though there are things that I could pick up on, like the laces being a little bit different and the colors of the blue being a little bit different. If I did not have the authentic pair that I knew was authentic because I identified it, I would have trouble pointing this one out. So keep in mind those things that I listed. Remember, you can find more pictures of the rep pair on the Instagram account that's going to pop up on the screen. The details matter, friends, especially when you have something that's already this close. Pay attention to those details, and I will see you guys in the next one. Peace.